Hey my dears, first of all, click the like button so you don't forget, okay? This helps me a lot, thank you. The first familiar summoned by Rex was a giant dragon egg. Chris became interested in Rex's egg, and that's how they met. Wait, what? Alto and Vermal stroll through the city. While he thinks about what to make for dinner, his sugar mommy only cares about sweets. Alto promises to give her anything she wants if she helps him with his tasks. Vermal is delighted and gives him a big kiss in front of everyone. Then, Rex's brother shows up asking for help. Rex completely crushes Chris. She asks what he did, but even he isn't sure. Part of his body is covered by strange stones. Chris takes the beating without fighting back, which frustrates Rex even more. When she tearfully begs him to stop, Alto and the others arrive. Rex thinks it's great and wants to fight Alto. He summons his dinosaur, also covered in strange stones. Vermal notices something odd about that mana, and just as they prepare to attack, a white-haired girl appears. She's incredibly fast and uses her judgment sword to defeat Rex with several blows at once. Her name is Elena, and she wants to punish Rex in the name of absolute justice. She helps Chris, calling her a disgrace for losing to someone so weak. Rex calls her a bitch and tells her not to interfere in the fight, but soon collapses, out of strength. Chris tells Elena to go to hell and runs to Rex. Funny how she's so worried about him now. Elena asks Vermal if she recognizes that power, but she denies it. At the student council, the group discusses these strange incidents and who might have caused them. Chris bangs on the table and storms out in the middle of the meeting. Jessica doesn't understand it. Chris herself punished Rex before, so why this grudge now? Chris likes to be tough on her toys, but dislikes when others mistreat what's hers. The bronze level exam is approaching, and this is Alto's chance. Vermal says she's tired and will go back to the room while he studies. Lilia finds it strange. Vermal never leaves Alto's side. She's been acting odd since the confrontation with Rex. Lilia sees that she's finally alone with Alto and almost invites him to study in her room. Oh Lilia, just confess your love and make it a harem. On her way back, Vermal encounters Alto's professor and senses the same mana as before. She's been watching him and knows he's behind everything. Vermal says it's none of her business, but that's too much power for a human, so he better be careful. She doesn't intend to tell anyone, but if Professor Obsidian lays a finger on Alto, Vermal will completely shred his soul. However, she underestimated Obsidian. In a moment of distraction, Vermal is caught by the drug used by the professor and becomes numb. While Lilia tries to get Alto to notice her in every way, he senses through their bond that Vermal is in danger. Suddenly, the atmosphere changes. Everyone at the academy feels a terrible mana covering everything. Elena, the student council president, rushes at high speed to the source of this mana, but is blocked by a strange magical being, a golem of several mysterious paper talismans. Meanwhile, Vermal's powers go out of control, and she completely changes into a much more demonic form. Obsidian is perplexed by such power. Obsidian dedicated his entire life to this moment. Vermal gets furious and launches a monstrous attack against Obsidian, which he manages to dodge at the last moment, but only because Vermal is under the effect of the drug. When Alto and Lilia arrive, they're astonished by the situation. Vermal is in a completely demonic and uncontrolled form. When Alto asks for an explanation, Obsidian is even impressed to see that he still doesn't understand everything. After all, Alto is a magnificent genius. Obsidian developed a magical method to condense madness itself, which wasn't easy and required many tests on subjects. This drug drives magic insane and makes the subject completely uncontrollable. The primary target was a true demon, Vermal. Thus, Obsidian says he was behind everything, literally everything. Oh my god, he dropped that book on Alto so that he would summon Vermal, and finally managed to control a true demon. He is fully confident that he now controls Vermal completely. But Alto's heart can't accept this, and in a state of fury, all his immense amount of mana flows into Vermal, freeing her from Obsidian's control. Vermal is burning with rage and charges at the professor to finish him off, but Alto instinctively throws himself in front of her and is impaled by his beloved. With Alto's body on the ground, Vermal goes even more insane, breaking all limits with her powers. She's ready to destroy Obsidian in every possible dimension. But again, Alto jumps on Vermal and hugs her, calming her fury. Seeing that there is still a small flame of life in her beloved's body, Vermal calms down and uses the golden mana she received from him before in a kiss. The professor is astonished by this act. True demons can even bypass death? He wonders. The golden magic used by Vermal fully heals Alto's body. Obsidian goes mad, crying for having lost the sugar mommy to Alto. He injects himself with the madness drug, but this one is slightly different and grants him demonic powers as well, giving him a monstrous new body. But before Vermal, he is nothing. She repels him with ease. The professor despairs and sees no choice but to flee like a coward. However, on his way out, he runs into Chris, who throws fireballs at him. Vermal appears behind him and punches him hard, sending him back to the ground. Vermal decides to let him live since that's what Alto wanted. Later, after Alto wakes up, Vermal explains what happened and that she pierced his chest with her attack, apologizing afterward. But Alto says apologies aren't necessary since he's fine, as if nothing happened. But it's not quite like that. Alto is dead, and bringing him back had a cost. Vermal used her own heart to bring Alto back to life. This means that now, Alto has Vermal's heart beating in his chest. And it also means that if Vermal dies, he will die too, just as if Alto dies, Vermal will also die. Alto then says she shouldn't have done that. She would live for millennia, while he would die as an ordinary human. Now he understands why she was apologizing. Elena was fighting a co-conspirator who disappeared after Obsidian's defeat, who was arrested by the city guard. Many mysteries still lingered over the academy, but the incident was resolved for now. With Vermal's heart, Alto now needs to draw mana from his beloved periodically to stay alive, but in a few years, this will no longer be necessary. Thus, Vermal intends to leave, as she considers herself a monster and shouldn't be near Alto. Alto calls her silly and kisses her passionately. He then throws her against the wall and says she is his familiar, and he needs her now and always. This makes Vermal blush deeply, as well as Alto, who runs off immediately afterward. During the night, Vermal was touched by Alto's words. Sometime later, Vermal is still feeling down about everything that happened. Lilia finds her and says she always suspected Vermal was hiding something. Lilia comforts her, saying it doesn't matter if she's a demon, what matters is whether she's good or bad. Alto is her master, so she should take better care of him since she's his familiar after all. Vermal is surprised by Lilia's confidence and thanks her. When Vermal returns home, she finds Alto, who is looking for her. He asks if she feels better, as she wanted to be alone for a bit. Vermal has reflected a lot, and despite everything that happened and the fact that she's a demon, she really wants to stay by her master's side. She's completely in love with him, and he's all she wants the most. Even when she was alone, she couldn't stop thinking about him and how much she wanted to kiss him. Alto feels very relieved to know that her words are completely sincere and from the bottom of her heart. They kiss passionately. The next day, Vermal decides she now wants to dress like the other academy students, but her airbags are too big for the uniform. Alto sees he's going to die of embarrassment in class again and decides to buy new clothes later. Meanwhile, two mysterious people discuss Professor Obsidian's failure and how it was a mistake to let him join the group. Several mages were defeated there, and the last one tries to attack with everything, but is easily knocked against a pillar. These two are Heliodor and Iolite, both platinum class, but Iolite was banned. When Alto and Vermal finally go to class, everyone ogles Vermal. Alto's classmates thank him profusely for this. Seeing Vermal in a short and tight school uniform was the best thing they could get. The bronze level classification exam is approaching, and this is Alto's chance to start his dream, so he calls Vermal to act. Obeying her master, Vermal pulls him into an alley in the hallway and starts kissing him. He says that's not what he meant, but Vermal teases him by showing her big melons and asking if he doesn't like her kisses.
That's really impressive. Whoa. Whoa, just whoa. Bravo.
Alto can't resist that face. But in the end, Alto will need a lot of mana for the test. In the classroom, they are interrupted by the student council, who declare that Alto is under their custody. Elena herself asks if he would accompany them. At the council, Elena first apologizes for not being able to prevent Alto from getting hurt in the fight. Alto was worried if they discovered Vermal as a demon, but none of them know who was involved in the fight. They also can't interrogate Obsidian because he escaped from prison. So, they rely on Alto's testimony now. Alto feels relieved, as it seems they don't know anything. However, before anything else, Elena asks if Alto is hiding something from them. This scares him, and before he can do anything, he is immobilized by Jessica, and Vermal is surrounded by Shinuji's blades. This wouldn't stop Vermal, but they only needed to detain her master. Alto tries to lie, but Vermal stops him. That wouldn't be good at all. So he reveals that Vermal is a demon. This surprises everyone, and Elena smiles. Alto exclaims that Vermal is not evil, and that they can do whatever they want with him, even expel him, but leave Vermal alone. At first, Alto wanted a familiar just to progress in the academy, but now it's different. Vermal is much more important than the academy and even his personal dream. However, Elena doesn't want to harm them or tell the superiors. A demon could be incredibly useful to them. Besides, one of the superiors turned out to be an enemy, Obsidian. It wouldn't be right to trust the others. Jessica doesn't like this, but Elena believes it's okay. She knows that Alto and Vermal's lives are intertwined and would only need to take down Alto to defeat Vermal too. But despite this, she trusts the two of them and then concludes by asking if Alto wants to be part of the student council committee. Alto suspects this is to keep an eye on him. Elena confesses that it might be that too, but she genuinely wants him on the council. After all, he defeated Chris, one of the academy's 5 strongest mages. Later in the dormitory, Alto apologizes for them discovering what Vermal really is, but she doesn't mind. As long as Alto is fine, so is she. She also warns him about Elena, the council president. That girl doesn't seem human. Alto was in real danger at that moment. He thinks he needs to become stronger. If things continue like this, maybe everyone will eventually find out that Vermal is a demon. And he needs to protect her from anything. This excites Vermal, who wants to make him stronger right now. She then takes off his shirt and covers him in kisses. The next day, Alto promises to become stronger than the student council and even become the strongest in the world. That's his dream, and he will use the council to his advantage. But when he opens the council room door, he finds the hottest girls in the student council in their best outfits. Elena and Chris don't seem to care much, but Jessica is completely embarrassed, saying she doesn't accept a pervert like Alto joining. Elena says it wasn't his fault, as they forgot to lock the door. Elena then starts talking about the reason for the meeting and shows a piece of paper from the golem she fought. The magic of that thing is completely unknown and undecipherable. This means the enemy is someone of platinum class. Far away, Heliodor and Iolite go to meet Kohakumiya. I'll call her Koha. She is also platinum level. We see those same paper dolls floating around her. And inside a capsule behind her, there's a strange and mysterious creature. Iolite had just returned from his last mission, complaining that the High Priest was a pain and wouldn't give in for anything. This High Priest was Haspel of the Golden Tower, the most skilled spellcaster among the platinum level. Koha thought Iolite had managed to bring him to their side, but he actually killed him. Their goal now is to hunt down Alto and Vermal. Later, Alto has a strange dream where he sees a crying child Vermal. Soon a strange woman gives her 2 options to follow, the path of justice that can benefit everyone or the path of destruction that will benefit only her. Unable to sleep, Alto decides to study for the bronze level exam, but Vermal wakes up and sees that her master needs to relax. She immediately pulls him into bed, where he drowns in her big airbags. Vermal says all the help he needs to pass the test is right there in bed. They just need to suck each other and exchange mana until dawn. The next day, Alto sees the book where Vermal was sealed, wondering who the mage that did that was. He can't read that language, so he puts it in his bag before leaving. It's the day of the bronze level exam, and the first test consists of depositing mana into a crystal ball. Whoever can deposit the most mana wins. Everyone thinks this is too easy, but Alto suspects there's a trick to it all. The test begins and several students attempt to transfer all their mana to the crystal, but nothing happens. Everyone is failing. Just as Alto said, this test has a secret and Lilia knows what it is. That crystal is very good at storing mana, and the student's mistake is depositing the mana into the crystal itself rather than into the flame, which is the actual goal of the test. So, she stands out. After her, a few other students also managed to succeed, including some from the same class, though not all. Alto is the last candidate. When he approaches, everyone is puzzled by his accompaniment and how large that woman is. The inspector was about to complain, but the examiner says he received a note from the academy about Alto. It's the first time he's seen someone with a human familiar and is astonished by her size. Quite large, right? Haha. Up close, Alto understands his earlier sensation and, upon analyzing the crystal, he understands how the mechanism works. This crystal has a deliberate design to make mana entry difficult, but there is a specific point where access is much easier. Only those with extensive knowledge of magical formulas and a keen eye can see this point. However, when Alto begins the test, Vermal says that is not the correct spot. The examiner sees that Alto is aiming for the most difficult point on the crystal. Thus, Alto demonstrates his mana in the hardest way possible. After so many times exchanging mana with Vermal, this test seems incredibly easy for him. His mana is so potent that the flame glows intensely silver. Vermal then tells him not to hold back. Alto gives it his all and the crystal explodes into several pieces. The guy is ridiculously strong. Alto is scared, thinking he might be disqualified for this, but he passes with the highest marks. Not even a gold level could achieve that, and even a platinum level would have difficulty. Alto's power is monstrous. Later, after the test, the friends gather to rest. The written test is still left, so they can't celebrate just yet. Vermal knows how good her master is at written tests, so he doesn't need to worry. After this, Vermal gives Alto a reward for his earlier effort. They kiss intensely, but it's already time for the second test. So they get ready to go. On the way, Alto sees a student from another academy who was in the first test. The same student goes to the bathroom, thinking that the students from Ortega Academy think they're the best. Then, Eyelight appears and strikes the student down, saying he will borrow his name. Meanwhile, Jessica and Elena are discussing Alto and Vermal while bathing. Jessica doesn't understand why Alto would let a demon have his heart. For Elena, the reason is obvious: love. The second test begins, and this time familiars cannot accompany the students. Vermal then goes for a walk while Alto takes the written test. He rushes to choose his seat as he arrived just in time. After that, the last student enters the room and sits next to Alto, and this student is Eyelight.